Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Hope everyone is doing okay this morning. I know this is early for you guys, but this is rather midday for me. One of my subscribers, a patron actually, Winger, wanted me to bring up the Women's March. So back in fact, I'm going to restart this because I have a better intro for this. I'll be right back. Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope everybody's doing okay this morning. I had a few false starts on this video, but hopefully this one will go okay. First, if you guys enjoy what I'm putting down, if you find yourself coming back here often, please consider supporting this content, either through Patreon or at this point the channel is monetized, so either through Streamlabs or Super Chat. Believe it or not, even $1 helps. I mean, it all helps the show. So let's start it here. Back during 1917, in Russia, at the time, this was pre-revolution or pre-Soviet, in Petrograd, women started to assemble together on International Women's Day. This is International Women's Day in the old calendar, with signs demanding food. Feed the children, supplement the rations of the soldiers and the families of those soldiers. Now, the reason they're doing this, you must understand, is because the Tsar has threw his lot into a war where the Western powers are involved in. This ended up, and to be fair, it's not that the Tsar was in a war with the Western powers. It's more so the Tsar gave its support to Serbia when Germany gave its support to Hungary or Austria-Hungary, and pulled all of them into a war. The Western powers entered the side from the standpoint of Russia. So that's the context of all of this. Now the Tsar, plutocrat, didn't necessarily care about the people at the bottom. Did not necessarily care that even though his belly was fed, the people were not. If the people were out there fighting on the battle lines, they weren't back at home tending to the fields and everything else in order to feed themselves. Hence, these people being pissed off. Feed the children of the defenders of the motherland. Supplement the rations of the soldiers, the families of the defenders of freedom. This was essentially put down, or tried to be put down, but it wasn't able to be put down. In fact, in some of the cases, the women were crossing in 5-degree water to get to the other side. Now, the soldiers were able to disperse some, but the soldiers were not able to disperse all. This woman's, you could say, march or rally ended up being joined by men also. This was the first day of the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution wasn't necessarily started by this kind of, it was started by women. It was started by women. Fast forward, we have our own history of the stuff here in the States also. During, let's see, what is this, 1967, there was an anti-war event in March where they had 50,000 people flood the Pentagon, pushing back against the Vietnam War. Now, if you remember, during the Vietnam War, there was all sorts of havoc that was taking place. People were setting off bombings. A guy set himself on fire in front of Robert McNamara's office to protest the war. There were people who were pissed off about the war. Now, I'm more cynical about the reasons they were pissed off. I don't necessarily think they were all that concerned about the Vietnamese being killed. I think some were. I think a lot were. But I think a lot of this had to do with, you're drafting me into the military. I don't want to be drafted. I don't want to be drafted. I would wager that that gives a hell of an incentive to stop that war if you think you or somebody else in your family or somebody that you care about could be carted off into a hellhole fighting people that you've never met. Essentially one poor person being paid to murder another poor person. The military hasn't changed that much since then. You've had a bunch of professionals at this point that's taken what's supposed to be this idea of war and military conflict as some extra component of governance under necessity and turned it into a job. You've turned it into a job. You have permanent war under this idea of fighting terrorism. 70,000 people were at that march in 1967. Where's the anti-war movement today? Is there an anti-war movement? There are people who are out there who are animated and pissed off about this. But can that be considered a movement? I don't know. That said, there's several women who are trying to reinvigorate this, and they are going to be marching on the Pentagon next month. This is coming up in October. What's the date on this? What's the date? Hashtag Women's March for Peace. They're going to march on the Pentagon commemorating that initial march. But the goal of it is to stop war. It's going to be on the 21st. Let me flip over so you guys can see it for yourself. See what I'm looking at. Oh, that's great. Sometimes my screen does weird things from the standpoint of capture, and sometimes OBS fails miserably technologically. Like in this very moment. All right, I'm putting the link at the bottom so you can see for yourself while I suss out what's taking place with this and why. One of the interesting components is it's going to be October 21st, 20th and 21st, Women's March on the Pentagon. There's a very awesome part to this that if the screen would flip over, I would show it to you. But at the very end, it says, this will not be co-opted by the Democratic Party. That by itself, this will not be co-opted by the Democratic Party. I love that component. I love that. I love that they added that. That in and of itself was enough reason for me to do this article. Also, there are all sorts of groups that are supporting this, and I'll go through the groups that are supporting this, but just for a moment. At the very end of this, the nuclear clock is at 2 minutes to midnight, and with the threat of nuclear annihilation becoming more incomprehensible reality, we must march for peace against the war machine. God, I love that. I keep saying women are mothering and influence, and I mean that. When I talk to my wife and I tell her, you know, when I was doing this by myself, this was a lot more risky. It's true. This is not, nor will it, turn into a get out to vote rally for the Democrat halfway of the war party. This is a principled call to action against the entire rotten empire. In one case, it says the only good empire is a dead empire. Love this. Love this. I love this. October 20th to the 21st. All sorts of people. Abby Martin is backing this. The Real Progressives. I mean, they've developed an amazing coalition of people who are backing this. Green Party, the GPA, the United Coalition, the United National Anti-War Coalition, the Empire Files with Abby Martin, Cindy Shanahan's Soapbox, Minds Unleash, Real Progressives, California Freedom Coalition. There are plenty of endorsements. So I'm not going to be in the States, otherwise I would be there. But there's going to be a march of women on the Pentagon, October 20th to 21st. Keeping in an amazing history, actually, of women taken to the streets in defiance of the authority or the ruling elite of the time period. Fucking A. My endorsement doesn't mean one iota, but you got it anyway. Kick ass. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the patron. Winger, thank you for pointing this out. I didn't see this. I didn't know anything about this. This is fucking awesome. I wish you all the best. I hope it's not just 100,000. I hope you have 1 million people that are marching. We'll see how it turns out. Have a good one, guys.